It's time for the Daily Stand Up Podcast presented by Agile Dad with your host, Lee Henson. Without any further ado, let's get started. Let me tell you the truth. I have been approached by leaders all over the world regarding this topic. The number one question I would say that leadership asks me when they say they want to embrace Agile is what type of things should I be tracking? How do I know that we're going to have Agile success? What are the benchmarks and what type and how are these benchmarks important to me? So I thought it'd be fun to put together a top 10 list. So here it is, the top 10 metrics that Agile leaders should be tracking, the things that are important to them. Coming in at number 10. So we're going to do it backwards. Coming in at number 10, we're going to do predictability. Now, I know this is like a shocker for many of you, but leadership really wants to know when things are going to be delivered, when they can have level set expectations, how can they portray their plan to others. And they can't do this without having some level of predictability. So it's about planning, execution, and delivery of work, obviously, but you want to make sure that the team can be consistent in their delivery, and we should use this predictability metric to get there. This means that you have to stop doing time based estimation, which I'm not even going to go there. But predictability is something that can easily be measured as long as you're keeping your teams consistent and as long as you're limiting work in progress. Coming at number 9 is quality. I heard somebody say, and I'm trying to remember which leader it was, but there was a thought leader who said, if I owned a pen factory, it wouldn't matter if I can crank out 1 million pens in an hour if only 10% of the pens had writing capabilities, right? If you could only write with 10% of the pens, then it's rework, it's waste. And this is something that comes from traditional Toyota quality management, TQM. We want to make sure that we can focus on quality and we can measure it. I'd rather produce fewer items that work efficiently than have a whole bunch of items that don't work. Makes total sense. Number 8 is speed. I know people say speed's dangerous, but you got to be careful. I'm talking about speed in the sense of creating that continuous feedback loop and creating a fast feedback loop that's giving you the information that you need so that you can be more responsive to an existing market, so that you can make more mission critical decisions. So you have to measure the speed at which you respond or the speed at which you can make adjustments and pivot. So measuring speed is definitely critical and something that's important. And that brings us to number 7. That ties hand in hand with productivity. So the 3 pillars of lean, of course, are cycle time, throughput, and variance. And I think we hit them all, right? So productivity is how productive are you? Are you actually creating things that have value, that add value? So are we creating a value stream for our end consumers? Do we understand our target audience? Is what we're building, the product or service, is it helping increase their productivity? Are we defining productivity correctly? It's not just sheer output, it's a measurement of value coupled with output. So we need to make sure we're careful there. Okay, number 6, market responsiveness. Now, market responsiveness is interesting because here you can do social media sentiment, you can do measure this through time to market, your lead time, your cycle time. You can do this through a score of costs. You could do a score rating. You could do a cost to acquire new customers, cost of acquisition. So there's lots of ways that you can measure market responsiveness, but you want to make sure that you understand that market responsiveness is different than speed. Where speed is more focused on the speed to get to the market responsiveness, the market responsiveness is what we do with the information once we receive it. Number 5, my favorite, customer satisfaction. If you build a whole bunch of things and nobody likes them, well, it's not adding immediate value, lifetime value. It's not increasing our revenue. There's so many things that you can do both qualitatively and quantitatively to measure this. But you want to make sure that you're considering things like social media sentiment, you're doing interviews, you're doing focus groups. You want to make sure that your customer is happy, because I would rather see you build less and have happy customers than building everything and having customers that are upset. And it's so important for us to get there, right? Next, coming in at number 4, I want to talk to you about innovation. It's good to build things that are, going to solve problems or to, enhance an existing product. But your eye should always be focused on innovation, and innovation should be measured. Are we taking time to do innovation? Are we taking time? Or are we surrounding ourselves and constantly focusing on debt and debt related things? I think it's just so critical for us to carve out time for innovation because that's going to help us really be able to measure the future of our product. So, coming at number three, the effort for continuous improvement. Now, this is different than all the others that I talked about in a sense that are you doing anything to grow? Do you have proper goals, goal setting, and goal techniques? And I think that this is something that a lot of people overlook. They don't put as much investment in Kaizen and continuous improvement. They need to figure out what that means to them, whether it's improvements to the process, improvements to the practice, improvement to the culture. You need to discern what that improvement is, and you need to get things figured out on a pretty quick manner. Yes. Coming at number two is employee engagement. And this is making sure that your people are happy. You often hear me say that if your people aren't happy, you're not going to get much productivity out of them, right? So, are the individuals on teams feeling motivated? Are the teams productive? Are people satisfied in what they're doing, or would they love to be doing something else? And if you want to hear more about that, make sure you listen to the Three Questions podcast. It covers the three real questions we should be asking, which I'll give you the preview. They are, what's the thing that drives you or motivates you the most, that you love the most about your current job and what you do? If I could take one thing off your plate, what would it be? What could we remove to make you better at what you do? And then third, are you happy doing what you're doing, or would you prefer to be doing something else? All very powerful questions, but something that needs to be addressed. And then, of course, at the top of our list, number one, we need to measure outcomes and not outputs. We need to focus on outcome and not output. And the way we measure that is by settling on a reduced WIP limit. So making sure we limit our work in progress and making sure that we get those things delivered that have the most impact on our end consumer. So instead of just creating widgets for the sake of creating them, which a lot of companies do, we need to leverage Agile and Agile transformation to make sure that we're building as little as possible that has the greatest impact. I would rather see you build less because less is more and not be so focused on how many of something can be created or how many points we're doing. We need to make sure our great focus is on outcome, not output. So that's your top 10 list. So we'll read through them one more time. Number one is outcome over output. Number two is measuring your employee engagement. Number three is continuous improvement. Number four is innovation and the emphasis on innovation. Number five is measuring customer satisfaction. Number six is market responsiveness. Number seven was productivity. Number eight was speed. Nine was quality. And 10 is predictability. Wow, that was a lot. There's so many articles out there that cover these topics or similar topics, but I think that this list is a great starting point for you to identify the top 10 things that you need to address so that you can keep your leadership happy, because these are the things that they're going to be looking for. I hope you found this information useful. As always, if you have a topic you want us to cover, you can reach out to us at learnmore@agiledad.com. Until next time, stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Do take care.